Would you like to understand the backbone of quality improvement? Well, Alexander Graham Bell said, educate the masses, elevate their standard of intelligence, and you will certainly have a successful nation. Hello, I am Juan Navarro. This is Advanced Quality Programs, and I invite you to explore the quality philosophies and concepts to apply them to our everyday life and improve it. Today, we are diving into the final or one of the final steps of the path of quality, standardization. In our podcast series outlining the path of quality, we have defined the standardization as one meticulous review of activities. During this step, our aim is to implement controls that prevent problem reoccurrence, and after we confirm the effectiveness of our actions, we now can establish a foundation of our lessons learned, and this foundation will make sure the sustainability of our improvements by preventing the reoccurrence of the initial situation. So what's standard? We already talked about it. A standard is a precise definition of a model. It's a criterion, it's a rule of action, or is the minimum acceptable requirement for something specific, such as a process or such as an outcome. Standards guarantee the expected results because we have something to compare to. Standards provide explicit guidelines to expect some behaviors under some specific circumstances or course of action. To achieve this, the standards must establish a reference, like the reference of a liter, like the reference of a meter. A standard will help to ultimately identify undesirable variations during the process development, allowing for our teams or our rules to timely apply the necessary corrective actions to avoid moving away from what we expect. So how do we create a standard? First, we have to define one goal. We have to clearly state the necessary model, criterion, or requirement to achieve the desired level of quality. So what we are expecting. Once we have that, we have to decide the scope, the application. We have to define the reasons, the utility, and the benefits the standards will provide to people or to those who are observing the guidelines and the processes. Now, the third is to specify the field of action. Not every standard applies every circumstances, so we have to define the necessary conditions to meet the standard. Fourth, we have to formalize the standard. We have to publish the standard and make sure that it's applied widely. We need to plan training if necessary for successful implementation. Just because we created a standard, it doesn't mean that everybody knows about it. So we have to make sure that everybody understands and is on the same page. And finally, we need to continuously review the standard. Once we created it, once we have established it, we have to regularly review and update the standard. There are environmental changes and there are human behavior changes that need constant revision. This will make standards obsolete, so we have to review to avoid hindering progress. And now that we know how to create and establish a standard, there are some things that we need to keep in mind. First, we have to keep in mind that the standards should have a collaborative approach. We need to involve interested parties, representatives from different groups that are affected by the new standard, so that we include everybody and is just applied to everybody. We also need to review if there is existing information about what we are trying to do. Sometimes international or local standards are related to our topic. So to avoid unnecessary work, we need to check if there are existing standards that may apply and we can use before creating something new. And finally, we have to start some discriminatory standardization. We have to focus on aspects only needing standardization. Once we understand that standards are useful, people start working creating standards and they create excessive standards that can repress creativity. So standards are needed to make sure that we have sustainable solutions, but we have to create only the ones that we really need. Creating standards requires a continuous analysis of situations and goals. While standards guide behavior in specific areas, they shouldn't be universally applied. We have to avoid assuming that our standard fits every situation. We have to continuously review and adapt to critical and crucial situations. Excessive standards that we said can hinder the people reaction, creativity, and they turn into automatons. So just don't limit your team. Let them work, and if you think that there's the need to standardize a course of action, just let them know this is the way we do that, but the rest you can continue to work as normal. Remember, you need to involve all stakeholders, all interested parties, not only people working with the standard, but people affected by the standard. And you will ensure effective communication that is the key to the successful implementation and sustainability of our new standard. This week, your challenge is to create a standard-based lessons learned using this podcast series. Remember, I'm not giving you all so that you can think about it before applying it, because we will review it with everything that we have learned so far, and we will prepare for our next discussion on sustainability next week. We will have to make the final step on the quality journey. And that concludes our discussion for this week. I really value your feedback, so please feel free to share your thoughts. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving us a thumbs up, and all your support by subscribing to the channel is really appreciated. I thank everybody for all those reviews and ratings on my book, Life Quality Projects. I will leave you now with a quote from Aldous Huxley. Dream in a pragmatic way. Don't forget to ring the bell, and see you next week.